Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Modern Investing on Pod TV. My name is Sasha Starr, and today our panel are Dr. Milan Somberg. Welcome to the show,
Thank you for inviting me. Delighted to be here.
as always. And Jim Eat from Eat Foundation. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sasha. Always my pleasure.
Great to have you, Jim. And the founder of the network, Nick Paliveda. Welcome to the show, Nick.
Hey, Sasha. How are you doing?
Great to have you as well. And so market is today is Wednesday. Market is up. At least Dow Jones is up. The overall market is shaky today. Let's put it this way. Many stocks are down, and it's not typical for Wednesday. But it seems to me that we are going through a certain rotation of stocks, and a lot of people are going from artificial intelligence and high-tech stocks to banking stocks. Especially, I could see big moves in Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and I think that this is definitely areas where you should be, especially that the earning reports are coming. They're not coming anytime soon, but in a few weeks they will report, and you know what's happening in these situations. At least the last few weeks, few months were a great example of that. Today, I want to talk a little bit about an interesting animal by the name crypto. A lot of people are mystified by that, and there are two things. First of all, philosophical things for justification of crypto is that people want to get away from traditional banks because they are proved to be less reliable, let's put it this way, than people previously thought, and there are some banks collapsed. It doesn't touch names like Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, obviously, but there are some other names which I don't want to even mention, and you know what's happened to them. So crypto, unlike dollar, and you have like normal bank accounts, in crypto you have safety, you have some kind of anonymity, so you can hold a few cryptos, few bitcoins, for example, and it seems to me that they are playing a game when they are out of reach of Security Exchange Commissions and other officials and so on, and they're living in their happy bulletproof bubble. And okay, that's number one. Number two, that there is a proliferation of hidden promotion of crypto, which is now coming from the people who never purchased or sold crypto in their lifetime. However, they are promoting, so being useful idiots who are doing that without even being paid, but they are very enthusiastically promote crypto and talking about it as experts because they got some information from internet or their friends, and they're talking about that, of course, they don't own any crypto, never purchased any crypto, or never mind sold, but they have friends who made millions of dollars in crypto. And when I ask them on a show to produce any evidence of that, just show me a bank account, a trading account, or anything that they purchased cryptos, let's see, for $1 million and sold it for $3, $5, $10 million, or whatever, just anything. Okay, let's see, if I'm talking about that I purchased Nvidia, say at 330 and sold it for 10. Okay, I have a paper trail that you can see the actual transactions, the number of shares, number of dollars, and so on and on and on. In this situation, you don't have any paper trail. Not only they even didn't see it themselves. Admittedly, they're saying, no, they told us about it, but we didn't see that. Oh, really? Well, Jim, what do you think about this situation?
Well, crypto in general, I've talked about my feelings about it in the past, and it's the wild, wild west. And yes, as you pointed out, it was a desire to get away from the regulations of banks and the central banks in particular, and get away around the the situation, the environment that was very tightly controlled. And so people that are attracted to that are the anarchists. People that are attracted to that are the criminals, and people that are attracted to that are the people that are just wondering why it takes, when I do an electronic transfer, why it leaves my account and takes 2 days to show up in somebody else's account. People who are thinking like, there's got to be a better way. So it attracts different types of individuals, and but you don't know who you're dealing with. You know, when you're starting to work with somebody in this market, you don't know what their credentials are. You don't know if they have experience in this, if they're just telling you a story. As you pointed out, people talk, but is there anything backing up their talk? Is there a proven track record? And do you know people who have had success and can tell you how to make money in crypto? No, they've always pointed to somebody else who's made it. That's been my experience, anyways. And that person, you know, can be shady. They could be up at front, and it's very difficult to know. So I am not comfortable in this environment at all, and I have no investments in it, and I don't buy the hype.
Milan, may I ask you, if there are so many winners in crypto and everybody is making money, are there any people who bought crypto at $66,000 a piece Bitcoin, and it went down to 17,000? It's now about 26, but nobody tells anything about anybody who lost any money in crypto. Milan, do you believe that there must be some people who lost money in crypto?
Are you asking me?
Yes, sure.
There's a list of ways of losing money in the market. For example, let's talk about the market for a minute. The S&P 500 represents the market. It is down today, just this minute. Dow Jones Industrial Average represents the market. It is up today. So is the market up or down? Sasha, you taught us that on Wednesdays, the market tends to go up.
Yes.
Today, one market indicator, the S&P 500, is down, while the other one, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, is up. So is the market up or down?
No, I've already mentioned that the overall market today is definitely down. There are a lot of stocks, good quality stocks, that are down today. Yeah, I agree.
Dow Jones Industrial Average is up today.
Yes, it is up. It is up today.
Yeah.
So, okay, I can defend myself saying, so, okay, I'm talking about Dow Jones today. Let's not talk about S&P, but I'm not going to do that because it's very naive.
Back to cryptocurrencies, there's a list of ways of losing money in the market. For example, buying junk bonds. The returns are very promising. Most people lose. Penny stocks, most people lose. Day trading, most people lose. Cryptocurrencies is another way of losing money in the market. Now, you mentioned, Sasha, earlier that some banks are unstable, and so there's some security in dealing with cryptocurrencies. You know, no Canadian bank has ever folded or gone bankrupt. No investor has ever lost a penny dealing with Canadian banks. You need something safer than that? Hello? And I think, James said that various reasons why people get into cryptocurrencies. I think the main reason people get into cryptocurrencies is to make a buck without working, getting something for nothing. That's the power, the most common motivator. And yeah, of course, cryptocurrencies go up and down, they fluctuate, and so people have lost money, unquestionably. But as you say, Sasha, you never hear about those. But
my problem is that this influencers, let's call them that nice way, influencers are not talking about people that they know somebody who lost even $500 in crypto. No, there are no people who lost any money in crypto. According to influencers, all are making money.
Sasha, have you ever been on a clubhouse room that talks about crypto? Because I can tell you that I've been in those rooms and they actually do talk about losers and they also talk about winners. So I cannot say that they don't talk about losers and winners because they actually have conversations in those spaces where they talk about people that have gained money and that have lost money. So this assumption that you have that they don't have this conversation is a non-starter in the argument, because they actually do have those conversations where they will tell you about people that have lost a tremendous amount of money on the space and everything.
Mark, I wish you bring one of these people on this show and let me deal with that. Okay,
I would,
bring
I would gladly
somebody,
bring them on the show. I would
at
gladly
least
bring them
one
on the show,
person.
but I'm also saying, I've asked you this before and I will bring it up again. There are people that have made investments just like you've made an investment in stock and they have made a profit.
Mark,
If they have
Mark,
made a
my
profit, you can
investments
argue on their profit. That's all my
excuse
thing is
me,
that there are people
Mark,
that made a profit on crypto.
yes, Mark, all my investments are paper proofed. I can show you the paper where all my trades are for last month.
And they can show you their OpenSea. They can show you their mask. I don't know if you know this, but
Could
there are
they,
wallets that
yes,
exist and everything. OpenSea is one of them. So you have to put your money in a crypto wallet. So they actually have to put them in a system. There is a system they have.
but it
OpenSea
was,
is one of them and everything.
I could show you my mattress where my money is.
Yeah, you can show me your mattress.
No, I'd like to mention one thing. Any trading in crypto starts that you have to acquire crypto, right? So the first part of the transaction is you take your old-fashioned bank account and make a wire transfer to one of the crypto exchange. Do you agree with that,
You
Mark?
do not have to do that. You don't have to do
No.
that. I have
Then
made purchases and I have not
how-
done it with
how
a
you-
bank at all. I've
how-
done it through OpenSea. I've done it through NFTs. I've got NFTs. People have sent me NFTs because that is a form of cryptocurrency as well. An NFT is a piece of artwork that exists that people have put a value on. I have received NFTs and I have NFTs in my wallet. I don't have that much, but I've got like 5 or 6. I've got friends that have got
But that's so
other profits and
wonderful.
everything. And so
Mark,
there are things that you can trade within the
fantastic.
crypto.
It's great. But in order to get money there, you must get from somewhere. And that somewhere means your old-fashioned bank account. You have to make a wire transfer.
No, that's what your experience was, and you told this story several times.
Wait a
But I'm
second.
saying that was your
How
experience. I
you
know
can-
people that have had it
wait,
outside
Mark.
of that experience. So I'm saying that is not always the case. I'm
No,
saying if
no.
you're going to study the market, if you're going to study crypto, it's
wait
like
a-
anything else. You have to actually know the knowledge and have the conversation. I will bring those crypto people on, as I've told you before. and
Please
you can have
bring
this
them
conversation
in and
with
ask
them.
them to bring their bank statements and crypto statements.
But they don't have to bring their bank statements. They're not always trading in bank money. I've just told you that
I
I have a
have to
coworker
go
that is
through
said that he's going to
all
retire within
paper
5 to 10
trail
years and
of the
everything in
beginning
that
of
space.
their
I've already told you
transaction
that
to
existed and
crypto,
everything. You
then
don't
they
believe him, but 5
Mark.
years from now, he may actually be retired. He may be as rich as
Hold
Milan
on.
or yourself.
Before the discussion goes much further, it is important for us to make a distinction between investors and speculators.
Yes.
Investors don't buy cryptocurrencies. Yeah. Day
Okay.
traders are speculators, cryptocurrency buyers and sellers are speculators. They're not investors.
Milan, I
They
agree.
have an exciting
Agree.
time, but they're not investors.
Mark's friends are not investors, they're speculators. And there is nothing
But
wrong.
are they crypto investors? There's a
But
different
before-
type of investor.
hold on.
They would consider themselves crypto investors.
Yeah, Mark, before we will go any further, Nick, let me ask you what you've heard lately about the investigations of SEC into Binance and Coinbase.
This is the
What's
question in
happened
my
there?
mind.
You're on mute, Nick. You're still on mute.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about this because in a prior career, I was actually an estate planning attorney and did the financial work for the founding family of Coca-Cola. That was managing about $500 million worth of assets. Today, we manage about $300 million at National Pension Partners. Let's just take a look at some of the people that I advised on that didn't take advice. And this is case study number 1. This person had 17 million in one stock. This stock made a lot of money, just like what Mark said, showed financials was really well. Then I got a phone call from him that goes, you wouldn't believe what happened. Enron went out of business and I lost everything. Okay. True story. Unfortunate. Not much I can do for him at that point in time because it was, as they would say in the investing world, a house of cards. So even if the cryptocurrency people show me great financials, it doesn't matter. It is a security under the famous case SEC versus Howey. It's what they call an unregulated security. And that's the reason a guy named Shaquille O'Neal has been sued for basically purporting and to expose he's basically influencing an unregistered security. But he's not the first one that had this problem. Another client of mine had 15 million all in one stock. And he was telling me how great it was. And I didn't know anything, even though I told him, I said, look, it's a good idea to diversify. I'm glad you have 15 million in this one stock, but you didn't have anything else. The stock was called MCI WorldCom. he also lost everything. He currently lives on Social Security eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So now when we look at what true investors do, and you're correct, Milan, and also Sasha, a real investor. Remember, these were what I call nouveau riche. First time they've made $1 million, not like they've had millions before. So they end up blowing it. Now, if you're looking at a stock, which is what by the way, the SEC has deemed it now a security. So all those people who have crypto are in trouble. You look at what they call the underlying fundamentals. What actually do they produce? Cryptocurrency doesn't produce anything. It's purportedly another currency equal to the EU currency that we buy, or the American dollar. And frankly, it isn't. So it borderlines, well, I agree with you, Sasha, borderlines on fraud. And someday what they're going to say, watch this, Mark, they preyed on people of color to invest in stuff like this because they haven't lost their butts investing normally. Now, where did I go? Last week I bought a couple of stocks. Planter Technology is one of them. They're an AI, but I'm buying the management. The manager's named Peter Thiel. He's a chess master, a Stanford law grad, and he's in the AI space. And you buy management, and you also buy what they're doing, which is also artificial intelligence technology that, yes, will replace jobs. The other purchase I made was Pega, which is run by Ellen Treffler, another chess master, who actually has been on our show before, ran his net worth up to $5 billion, then got hit with a $1.2 billion lawsuit and had to pay it. That was, but he had, as he said, I had the cash to pay it, so that was good. And so now his net worth is down to a couple billion.
Hey, Nick,
but again, the fundamentals of what they do is very important. They actually run constant contact style technology for major companies. Both these companies have underlying fundamentals. They're tech stocks with underlying fundamentals. I don't mind buying into them. I do own a Bitcoin, but it was given to me, and that's the only reason I would have it. And let me tell you the problem with the Bitcoin. Selling it is a problem. In other words, the lack of the market on it. And so, yes, young people love that. But let me tell you something also, and this is the reality of it, because they haven't lost their butts yet in the market yet. Enron was a darling of Wall Street for many years. People made a lot of money on it until the trend was not their friend and they lost everything as a house of cards. And the same thing with MCI WorldCom. Today, Coinbase is under a lawsuit. And according to the SEC, every cryptocurrency out there, they're going to deem it to be a security and is subject to SEC scrutiny and lawsuits. So you just bought into a lawsuit. Now, why would somebody do it? I'd love to, Mark, I'd really love to have him on the show. Not that I have any experience literally managing billions of assets. And I could bring in my friend Dennis, who's also currently manages about 1.8 billion, although he can't say anything because he's registered with the SEC. Here's the other problem. Okay, I'm not registered with the SEC, so I can talk about this stuff. I'm a lawyer. I can talk. A lot of my friends who actually manage this money, who could say things, can't because the SEC won't allow them to basically talk. You're dealing in an area which we called unregistered securities. And I saw people in Florida do it all the time with real estate. They had unregistered securities. One guy's dead. The other guy died in jail. And this is the future of cryptocurrency. And sure, a couple people can make a couple bucks. There's a last guy out there where they made a lot of bucks and lost everything. You may have heard him. His name's Bernie Madoff, a nice Jewish guy who was actually head of the NSA at one time. Kept showing 19% returns, all fake meatball. And I've had clients fall into this trap too. So it's kind of like an opening trap in chess called a fool's mate. And once they get mated a couple times, they don't fall for that again. But until then,
well, like I said, I will definitely bring in some folks that are much more detailed in terms of knowing the knowledge and even have some thoughts around the legal aspect of crypto and a number of other things, including some folks that are in the same legal lanes as you, Nick, and everything. Because I do know some people that are in that space in a variety of things, in a variety of fields. And like I said, I do know some folks that have made some money, just like I know that Jacoby told us on a earlier show that he knows some folks that have made some money. Now, do I have any crypto of my own? I have opted not to, but I also don't have any stock at the moment either. So that doesn't mean that I won't build a portfolio, because one of the things I've heard that is very interesting is that some people will tell you that they are into crypto and that they're also in stock. As a matter of fact, some of the people that I know that it is part of their, what y'all oftentimes talk about, they are using it as part of their portfolio. So they are investing in crypto, but they also are investing in stock, whether that's penny stocks or a number of other things. So they are seeing this as a part of their overall portfolio. And one of the things that you just mentioned, Nick, is that I think that some of the things that goes on is that people don't always have an understanding, because there are different problems that exist within crypto, and those that are in crypto will tell you that, including how to transfer from one wallet to another wallet, because the wallets don't always interact with each other. But that is a conversation that has been going on in that space, and there are some people that are trying to figure out ways around that, just like they figure out ways around other things as well. But it's kind of like the metaverse. A lot of times when we hear the term metaverse, people automatically think of Meta, which is Facebook, but there are hundreds of metaverses, just like there are various crypto coins out there as well. So yes, Bitcoin is one, Coinbase is one. There are a number of them that are out there, and I think you even mentioned
the
that
latest
we
Spider-Man movie was
of our
great.
own and everything, and sometimes it is the value that is added. Like I said, if we created a Pi TV Bitcoin, and I think we had explored that option at one time or another, maybe the value that they have access to certain parts of our shows and everything, because there is usually some sort of value base that is associated with whatever the coin is, from my understanding of it. And like I said, I am not in that space, but I do have friends that are in that space, and the NFTs, which are very big, NILs, which are very big in the sports world, and a number of others have been tied into crypto and other parts of it. So like I said, I think that if we are the elderly, and I'm actually the youngest of the elderly here at 61 and everything, I think everybody here is older than me and all in that space. A lot of the younger folks are getting very much excited by it, and I do have some friends in that young circle, because one, they don't like the rules and the regulations and the kind of restrictions that banks put on there, and there's a lot of heavy fees that exist in banking, and that is part of the reason that people have gotten into this, because they are thinking that this is a way not to deal with those high fees that banks have, and a lot of banks have these ridiculous fees for a variety of things, and that is why
you're
a lot
right.
of
No, there's definitely reason that they're doing this, Mark, and I think you're absolutely right. And but the thing is the show's titled Modern Investing. It's not titled Modern Speculation. And what I feel is an obligation whenever I'm on this show is to say something that isn't going to, preservation of balance is what I really think the best thing you can teach someone is to preserve the capital, and then to make, in Milan's case, he advocates making modest returns that are fairly secure over time. And Sasha's advocates is using his own intelligence to make more money by various techniques and tools that he's taught us about on his show.
Mostly options.
Mostly options. And the idea that I have always, advanced is something that is fairly safe. And the speculations that I do in my fund portfolio. And I don't do it with money that I would call discretionary money, or I don't do it with money that it would be required for rent or groceries or anything like that. And I want, if we're speculating, I hope they're speculating with money they can afford to lose. And if they're not, then they're headed for a fall, Mark.
No, I agree with you. And most of the people I know, like I said, it's part of their portfolio. The people that I know, including a man that wants to retire in 5 years and everything, he's got a job. He's got actually several jobs and everything. And this is part of what y'all have described as his fund money. Now, whether
he's going in with his eyes open,
and he went in with his eyes open, he has investigated, he has done everything, he has looked into everything, and he has said that he would like to retire. Sasha thinks that this is impossible. He would like to retire by 2028 with some of these investments. But does that mean he's going to stop working? Does that mean he's going to not do other things? I doubt that very seriously. Now, in 2028, whether he comes on or somebody, or I come on and tell you that he has been successful, we won't know that till 5 years from now. But he is making these investments and making these investments in that project with the hope of retiring by 2028. He's not exactly a spring chicken. He's younger than me. I want to say he's in his 40s or 50s. So if he wants to retire a little bit earlier than the average retirement age of 60 or 65, and is thinking that this is part of his fund portfolio, because I think that that's what he considers. I mean, he does this as a hobby. Yes, he listens.
Well, he sounds like a guy that I wouldn't worry about. It's the young folks that I worry about, the people that don't have the experience.
Yeah.
You know, he sounds like he's got his act together, and he's not going to, lose his everything he has.
No, he's not going to invest his entire rent. He's got other jobs, and a lot of other people.
Yeah. So I'm okay, fine. More power to him.
May I ask you,
I worry about sending them.
Mark, very simple question. I don't mind. Let's see if you talk about, let's say you attracted to investments and you're talking about stock market, you're talking about stocks like Microsoft or Nvidia or just many other stocks. And you know this stock is better than another one or so. That's your own opinion. And that's fine. Some people will agree with this, some people not. When you're talking about crypto, you're relying on experience of other people. And it seems to me that you are fascinated with crypto, that you don't want to talk about Microsoft or Nvidia, but you want to talk about crypto.
Nobody said I didn't want to talk about Microsoft or Nvidia. I mean, Nvidia, Microsoft. What did I say earlier, Milan and Jim? I just said you that I don't have any investments at the moment. I think Jacoby told you that as well. Now, if you want to, if anybody here wants to donate $100 for me to invest in everything, I have some family investments. I have generational property that is part of my family and portfolio and everything. That's something that I'm very comfortable with.
Excellent.
That's something that I have. I have houses that are going to be passed down. I have timber that is part of that. So that is something that exists that is part of my portfolio.
Mark, I'm not blaming you for not owning stocks, because right now at this life stage, you don't need it or you don't want it or whatever. So you don't talk about Microsoft or Nvidia. At least I never heard you talking about the stocks. However, you, without having ever crypto in your lifetime, buying crypto or selling crypto or just anything, you are talking nothing but about crypto. That's what makes the situation rather strange.
Well, first off, I've talked about many of things. I've never lived in Ukraine and Russia.
Mark,
I've talked about the war there as well. So to say that I haven't talked about things.
No, Mark,
one of the things as a journalist, hold on a second. One of the things as a journalist is that you study things, and I am a journalist by trade. That is what I was trained at Marquette. So I was trained in journalism. So part of journalism is that you listen to the different sides, you hear the different sides, and you you bring them in. Now, you say that I'm an influencer, and I actually hate that term because I've had friends use that term and everything. I don't think of myself as an influencer. I think of myself more in that journalistic space, which is that you talk to people on different sides. Now, do I agree with everything? I don't agree with everything that you say. I don't agree with everything that Jim says, but I am willing to listen. That is what life is about, is listening. So I'm willing to
no one
listen
listens
to everybody.
me, so I'm not in danger of being an influencer.
So I'm actually providing, giving people the opportunity. That's one of the things that I love about Pod TV is we give people the opportunity to provide different insights and different things. Do I agree with every guest that I've ever had? No. Do I agree with every? Do I disagree with every guest? There are ways that we have conversations and we learn from each other.
The average fund portfolio trails the market by 40%. Everybody enters a fund portfolio hoping to beat the market. The market has returned, not inflation adjusted, roughly 10% annually for over 100 years. And the inflation adjusted about 6.5%. And if you're supposed to live on 4% of your portfolio, you will still be making money simply matching the S&P 500, which we can teach a high school student to do in 15 minutes. Beating the S&P 500 is nearly impossible long term. Now, a couple of things arise from what you mentioned earlier. You mentioned Bernie Madoff. You know, Bernie Madoff was to a great extent responsible for the foundation of the NASDAQ. He wasn't always a bad guy. I'm not sure exactly at what point he turned bad. Now, you also mentioned Enron. People went to jail over Enron, as they should have. Lots of people's lives were destroyed because they owned Enron stock. They were encouraged to own Enron stock. And so when the company started lying and ultimately fell apart, they lost everything and they wind up being greeters at Walmart, having worked all their lives for Enron. But somebody did go to jail. But you know, the Canadian equivalent, Nortel, nobody went to jail. Lots of people lost lots of money. I think Sasha can tell us about who lost the money on Nortel. The people at the top walked out rich. and nobody went to jail. I don't know how to explain that, but there's something certainly wrong with that.
Yeah, Milan, and there are a lot of ethical investments that people have made that were investments in companies that people made a choice of that investment. Now, people may have problems with it. I am here in Durham, North Carolina, and GlaxoSmithKline and Pfizer definitely made a lot of money off of a lot of the COVID drugs and everything. And some people are glad and made some money off of that. There are even some people that work for that particular company that have some issues with how they made their money and everything. So there is a ethical decision that people have to make as to why they invest. Are they going to invest because they are hoping to make money, even in there are things that they are not necessarily agreeing with? Because we know that there are people that made money off of things historically that had some questionable ethics, and I'll just leave it at that. But they made the choice to actually invest in those companies.
Oh, since this is going on the radio, people can't see this, and I did mention 2 stocks. So all suggestions are for entertainment purpose. Seek advice from a licensed professional. In other words, when I mentioned Palantir and Pega, seek advice from a licensed professional. What I did doesn't necessarily mean something that you should do. Last thing is another company that had a lot of hype in your area, James. They did really well. Except right now, the CEO is in Leavenworth, I believe, or somewhere in Texas. Her name is Elizabeth Holmes.
Yes.
And the company was Thanos. And it was like the cryptocurrency of the pharma industry. Oh, it's going to do well. People made a lot of money.
The rage.
It was a rage. People laid up a lot of money. As long as they got out quickly, they made a lot of money. And what happened to everybody else? They lost their tail.
They got in late, they lost.
They got in late to the party, baby, and all down the tubes. So it's not like history doesn't repeat itself with crypto. And Sasha, believe it or not, had somebody on this show who lost $1 million in crypto. He's no longer coming back to this show because Sasha kept saying, don't buy crypto. Now he's crying, literally, because I talked to him. I'll tell you in private who he is, Sasha.
I send him invitations every week. I send him invitations. He never replies.
Nick and Sasha and Milan, this is the investment show, and I definitely appreciate the investment. Are there not people that have lost money the same way that you are saying that people will lose it in crypto in investments? And that's all I'm saying is that there are people that made a gamble, a guaranteed gamble on what they are thinking crypto is going to do. And I don't know because I have not done it, but there are friends.
Those are called.
And there are people that have invested in Pfizer and in a number of other companies that slid down. You're in North Carolina that have slid down and they have lost money. So I think that
it's also human nature to talk about your wins and not your losses.
Exactly.
You know, I was at countless cocktail parties where everyone was talking about the investments that they had that were winners, and it's just normal. It's just human nature. But you know that anybody who's in the game has never been 100% accurate. And so you listen to everyone with a grain of salt. And I'll talk about the 1990s because there was a .com bubble burst in the 90s, and everything the internet was just brand new for so many people, and anything with the .com afterwards, after its name, was exciting, and people were throwing money at it. I live in walking distance from the Sand Hill Road, which is a venture capital road is what we call it. And I can't walk my dog without running into a venture capitalist. And these people were all behind this without fully understanding. And the thing for me was, were they making revenue or not? But people were throwing money whether or not they were making revenue. It didn't matter. As long as they had
people understand venture capital now. You've got venture capitalists that are investing.
And so I sold 3 months before it burst because I overheard a guy pitching to his date about his launch. He was going to take it.
And fallout of this birth of the .com was that real company like Cisco, it took several years to recover from this drop. Their stock, if I remember correctly, went from $80-some a share to 15 to 20, and it stayed there for years.
And they had revenue. They were a good company.
Is Cisco still around?
Yes,
of course.
That's my point. Though we can't say that Coinbase, y'all are
the death penalty
on Coinbase.
My point was that when I got out of the .com business, because I sold millions of dollars worth of stock, but I invested in corporate bonds because I thought it was safer. One of the corporate bonds I invested in was Lehman Brothers.
Uh-huh.
You remember Lehman
Too
Brothers?
big to fail. Yeah.
Too big to fail. Exactly, Sasha.
Yeah.
So I felt safe. I was
I want to
taking it out
mention
of a risk
something.
investment, put it in a safe investment, and I was a big loser. So, we don't talk about our losses, but we do love to brag about our wins.
No, we do that all the time. Hey, Jim, I just have a question. Did you invest? Because there was a company in California that was very popular. It was pre Facebook, and it was definitely very much out there. And I definitely was on it as a social media site. But I was wondering, in the early stages, did you invest in either 6 Degrees or MySpace? Because both of them have gone the way of the dodo bird and all of that space.
Right.
But they were very active, and they were
MySpace was
popular.
very popular for a while, and I was not attracted. I did not invest in Facebook. I know Peter Thiel, who Nick mentioned, was a big supporter of that. And as a chess master, I knew Peter. But it's not the type of thing that I understood well enough. And I'd like to invest in things that I understand.
May I tell you a very interesting fact about Cisco? I got a chart.
They understood
Cisco
that company.
stock from March 1st, 1990 to today. It's the last 33 years. It's trading now under $50 a share. Exactly, it's at $49.80. And the peak was in 1999. It was $83 a share. So it hasn't even achieved its price 30 years ago. Do you understand the parameters of this horrible dot-com bust? Now, speaking about if you want to try to compare Coinbase to Cisco, okay, be my guest. I don't know what kind of relevance is Cisco to Coinbase. However, I want to mention something very important, Mark. You are portraying yourself as a journalist.
I'm not portraying myself. I have a degree in it.
You're not a journalist?
I said I'm not portraying. You're making portraying as if it's not something that I do regularly. I am trained in journalism. And
are you a journalist?
Yes.
You're a journalist.
I'm
right?
a journalist. Yes.
Okay. So that's not your business to influence people to buy or invest in crypto or any other garbage. You can interview people who bought crypto, made millions of dollars, retired, and so on. That's fine. The only thing is, it would be helpful if they would prove all their story with the investment trail, paper trail.
I think he's just playing devil's advocate because the panel is basically anti-crypto.
Right.
And so Mark is playing the devil's advocate and saying there's another.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. I appreciate it. What makes me, should I say, furious? I'm not a person who gets furious very easily. But I want to tell you one thing. I don't mind if I would, let's see, I bought a crypto, Bitcoin at $66,000. It went down to $26,000. I sold, I got my losses. That's okay. I'll try to recover somewhere else. But the problem is that you will not even get to that stage where you will have a real losses. No, you will go through all the clowns who will play with you to open cryptocurrency account. It will take several days to verify. They will ask for all kinds of information, proof of address, proof of...
we've been through this story before, Sasha. Really quickly, I just got a quick question that I meant to ask that I've never asked before. You just said on this conversation, you mentioned my journalism, so it's a journalistic question. You just said that you invested how much? 66,000 or whatever. Most people that are in that space, from my understanding, are not investing that high amount and everything. They're usually investing something that is a little less risky on their part. That's just my observation. Would you hear where I'm going, Jim, and everything? Because a lot of people will be going like that
Mark,
is a high amount to invest and
Mark,
everything in that amount.
Mark, it's very arbitrary. One can invest $10,000, $10, $100,000. I mean, it doesn't change anything. Whatever.
As long as you can afford to lose it.
That's what I'm saying.
Someone can afford to lose it. That's about it. What I'm saying is that it's a monumental effort even to open an account with one of the crypto exchanges. Then they have to verify who you are, what is the origin of your money, how did you transfer your money, where did you get your money, and all kind of questions. So finally, you open account, You transfer your cash to the account. Now you're sitting on a cash. Now, next step, you want to buy crypto. Okay, they say they have no fees and no expenses or nothing like this. So the crypto today is say $25,000 to $26,000.
Hold,
Do
hold,
you
hold
see?
on, hold on a second. I've got some journalistic questions here and everything.
Okay.
One thing you just said that they sent you, and I've heard this story before. They gave you this detailed thing and everything. I'm wondering if it wasn't the amount, because I do know some people, like I've said before, that have invested. They never went through these problems that you went through of having to go through this creation of having days. And matter of fact, I know people that have literally created their wallet in like 30 minutes to an hour and everything. But I personally think, and it's just my opinion, I'm not saying this is the case, but I think it was because of the amount that you had to go through, the kind of security things that you went through and everything. Because I know some people that have definitely created some wallets and some crypto and have invested in crypto, and they didn't take 2 days. They didn't have to go through these security things that you're
Okay.
talking about.
Mark, it's a practical issue. So what you say is instead, if I would go with a lower amount, let's say $1,000, right?
Yes.
So everything would be much simpler, and I would
Yes.
do it in a matter of 30 minutes, right?
Yes.
I tried that as well. And you know what? It doesn't work, unfortunately, because the same things they're asking, the same questions, whether it's a $50,000 or it's $1,000. It's the same procedure. Furthermore, when you finally purchase your Bitcoin, and now you want to transfer the Bitcoin to another crypto or to my friend or just whoever I wish to transfer. They sitting on it for a couple of days, 3 days, whatever, and then they refuse to follow your instructions. And they are so sorry, we cannot authorize this transaction, period. So I said, okay, transfer just $500. 2 days later, no, we cannot authorize transfer of, say, partial crypto is $500, equivalent to $500 or so. No, they would not do that. Then I said, okay, I wait for a couple of days until crypto actually went up in price. So now I'm sitting on a profit of a crypto which I bought at this price, and now it's trading at this price. And I asked, please sell. I had almost 2 Bitcoins. Please sell my all my 100% of Bitcoins for Canadian dollars. Okay, they did that. To my horror, I discovered that actually I have less money that I deposited. In fact, I should have at least profit of $1,500, maybe even a couple of $1,000. Instead, I'm sitting on a loss of $300. I inquired how that happened. Well, although we have no fees and nothing, but we have a spread between bid and ask. And according to that spread, they charge me twice on buying crypto and another time for selling crypto. And that charges for $2,800 when they advertise no fees, no expenses, nothing. So I end up
I've heard this story several times before, and then you're going in the same direction. But I've got a question, since this is modern investment and everything, so I'm going to come back to modern investment. I think that a lot of times, and it's just my opinion, I'm going to come back to something that Jim said earlier. We are oftentimes colored by our experiences. Meaning that if you've gone through a bad experience, you're going to have a negative attitude about whatever it is that we're talking about and everything. So let's just say that I had bought a stock. I said I have not done any stock, but let's say I bought a stock on a company and the company went bust and everything. I would probably not be that friendly on that particular stock and would probably not want to have anything to do with that company and everything. So I think that part of what goes on is that just like I know people that are excited about crypto because of their experience, you are having a negative experience about crypto. So I think that a lot of times things are based on
neither you nor Jim nor Milan ever. So we have 4 people here. One, myself, have negative experience. That's okay. But the other 3 have no experience whatsoever. So why would you talk over me, who has a real direct experience, saying that my friends were successful, they made $1 billion, they're retiring, and I'm asking you, bring here your friend with his statement.
I would gladly, they've been on shows,
his
they've been on
bank
my
account
shows.
statement.
I would gladly
Bring
bring
him
them on
in.
here. And I've told you before, I hope that you at least will be respectful of them, just like I'm being
No, I
respectful
will
of you
take
and
them apart.
No, but in that case, why am I going to bring them on? You're going to pick them apart and everything.
For
Hey,
this,
if you restricted me to talking about things that I knew about, I wouldn't be able to talk. So,
Sasha and James and Mark, there has never been a better time to be alive. It's easier today to make money than ever before. Never been a better time to be alive. I'm reminded you mentioned Elizabeth Holmes a little earlier today. You know, it wasn't that long ago that women did not have a vote, didn't have a right to vote. Today, they make up almost 6% of the S&P 500 companies. So sorry, they are the CEOs of 6% of the S&P 500 companies. You know, in our lifetimes, the blacks went to the back of the bus. Today, recently, we had a black president, and the current vice president.
Current vice president, yes.
The progress has been enormous. And when you take a look at that, you know, my dental class, 128, 5 women. Today, half of them are women. Medical schools.
But Milan along those same lines, and since it is modern investment, and since y'all talk about finances and everything, one of the other complaints about that is that yes, women have advanced, but the pay gap between women, that wage gap, is still tremendous, and that is a conversation point that many entrepreneurs that I know are talking about on a regular basis, that they would like to see that gap slide.
Both statements are true. We have made tremendous progress, and we have a lot more progress to go through.
Right.
There's no question. And sometimes we take a step forward and 2 steps back, or 2 steps forward and 1 step back. It's not a straight line of progress. So and we have had administrations where I thought that we were making this kind of movement, and administrations where I thought we were going backwards. So it's up and down, and we all have to persevere. But there's no question that being alive now, we have better health care. We have longevity in our lives. We have the ability to make money. We have more equity than we have had. But of course, we have facing income inequality as well, which is also a problem. Now, the question in my mind about cryptocurrency, when we compare it to a company like Cisco, I understood Cisco. They made a product. They served a need. They solved a problem. They were a good company in terms of me being able to understand it, seeing its value. With crypto, what I see is these banks of computers that are in huge facilities that just do nothing but crunch numbers, wasting an enormous amount of energy, making no product that is useful to me. I don't understand it. I don't understand what problem it solves. I don't understand why I would support that. So my negative feelings about crypto are not so much based on the experience with buying and trading, selling, that kind of stuff. It's just that I see no reason for it to exist beyond the disappointment with the way things are.
Jim, are you also and like I said, this is just from conversations I've had with other people, would you say that about just crypto or all blockchain elements? Because part of what blockchain, in my understanding, is about is this kind of disruption and kind of a people that are frustrated with the mainstream system and are feeling very much that they would like a lot of things decentralized. And there are a lot of monopolies, even monopolies in the media. So there are blockchain media outlets, there are blockchain finances, there are a number of
excellent point, Mark. Excellent point. And no, I am not against blockchain. I am against the use of energy that is enormous, that it builds nothing, makes nothing. And
well, that's what I'm saying. But those that are into crypto, and that's the only point I'm making, is that those that are in crypto would say that that is part of the blockchain technology. They feel that they are connected and interconnected and everything. Now, I hear what you're saying.
I see the appeal. I just think that the cost is enormous.
Yeah.
And for me, I can't get behind it. But I feel that way about the fossil fuel industries as well. I know that Nick is a big investor in those because it makes money. I don't do it.
I bought some tetracycline recently. Tetracycline has probably saved more lives than any procedure or any other drug, and you can buy it today for pennies a tablet.
What does it do, Milan?
Pardon me?
What does it do?
Tetracycline is a broad spectrum antibiotic.
I see. Yes.
Yeah, and it takes care of a large number of diseases, much better than penicillin, which is not broad spectrum.
And I'm allergic to penicillin, so I probably have had this drug. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. So it comes under a variety of names, but tetracycline has saved more lives than any procedure or any other drug, and you can buy it today for pennies. never been a better time to be alive. So when you try to get something for nothing, which is really the primary objective of people who get involved with cryptocurrencies or people who get involved in market trading in the first place, that's the primary objective, is to make a buck without doing anything, then you run into trouble.
But the anarchist idea of decentralization, that has an appeal. It has an appeal to me, and it has an appeal to a lot of people. And the way that they're doing this, it has to be well thought out. And in some cases, I've read some really good stuff that philosophically is really well thought out, well structured, well reasoned. And then I've seen in practice things that are nothing more than a pyramid scheme, Ponzi scheme.
Let me tell you something, that one of the investigations by Security Exchange Commissions into the largest crypto trader, Binance, is that it organized several private companies. One of them got a transfer of about $110 million. And CEO of that company had only one expense to show for this money. He purchased a yacht for $11 million. That's all. He's done nothing with the money whatsoever. This is what kind of unregulated world crypto is. I don't mind if I could buy a crypto, sell crypto, and lose $10,000 on it. Okay, I can do that with a single stock. If I'm not right, I purchased a stock, I sold it, I lost some money. That's okay, it's acceptable. But the worst case scenario in crypto is that you're not even getting to the stage where you can buy and sell and lose legitimately some money, and whatever is left over, okay, you transfer back to your account. Okay, so it's a learning experience. You can't even do it. And the problem is that you're being stopped on very first attempt even to get there, to open an account, to transfer money, to buy crypto, to sell crypto. There are all kinds of hidden charges. They're sitting on your money for weeks, if not.
And who do you appeal to if you have a complaint?
And there is no one. They're operating somewhere in space. All of them, most of them don't even have offices. They don't have physical offices. You cannot go there. You know, one outfit that offered me some stock trading or so on, and they're located in England. And I was ready to transfer some money. However, it could not be done in crypto. It could not be done in wire transfer. And I offered them, you know what? Let me fly to you. I will bring cash. And you will put this cash into your bank account and you do whatever you want. No, we are not accepting cash. So it was not even possible to invest money. And in fact, I did some investigation. They even didn't have office in London.
Are they not regulated by the SEC?
No, absolutely.
The SEC is suing them. That's the big news.
I mean, that's the big news. They're talking about SEC regulation. There are some regulation aspects of different things that are in the news that are going on. But the one thing that I was going to say, and I brought it up earlier, is that a lot of the folks that I know that are in that space are not using it as their own one investment. I just mentioned that the gentleman I know that it is part of their overall portfolio. Now, if they choose to take that chance, that is on them. But like I said, some of these people are also investing in the stock. They're also investing in property. They're also investing in a number of other things. So most people I know that have a financial portfolio are having a multiple financial portfolio, and they are using this as
if they want to go to the casino and play roulette, that's fine with me too.
The Securities Exchange Commission, that's the reason we brought the subject up, a World Edition, recently, of course, filed suit against Coinbase and then made an announcement that they believe that the cryptocurrencies are finally, they believe it's a security, which gets me as how long it took the government to respond. From the definition that I studied in law school, and anybody can look at this case, it's an old case called SEC versus Howey. Investment in an enterprise with the expectation of profits derived solely by the efforts of others is a security. Okay,
but isn't there an irony to this? Because one of the reasons that I personally think that the SEC is making this initial investigation and this initial rule is that, like El Salvador, like a number of other countries, I am under the understanding from people in that space that there is a good possibility that the U.S. will have its own cryptocurrency. So if the U.S. is going to have its own cryptocurrency,
I doubt it very seriously, because the thing is, and this is where we go back to the fundamentals. What is the fundamental reason of the cryptocurrency? My analysis shows only one thing. It's called tax evasion. But even so, it's kind of hard because they can even track it. So it really has no fundamental purpose whatsoever, other than hype and glamour, which is similar to the Ponzi scheme developed by Charles Ponzi years ago. And
how many people have offshore accounts and everything? That could be
offshore. Okay, the minute it's an
Absolutely.
offshore account, this is something I told clients a long time ago. The minute you, first of all, as an offshore account, you actually have to register and check special boxes with the Internal Revenue Service, bring up your DIF score, which means basically your audits get larger. The other thing is the reporting requirements are pretty severe. So the minute, for that reason, I go, for me to have a checking account outside the United States is extremely dangerous. But what happens is the unsophisticated people will jump into this stuff. Some will make money. I agree with you, Mark. Some are going to make money. There's absolutely no question. There were a lot of people in the Ponzi scheme, the early ons, made money. People in Enron made money. People in MCI WorldCom made money. They had some legitimate purpose. Bernie Madoff's and early investors made money. But it doesn't negate the fact that there's no fundamentals behind this. There's, as they say in Italian, it's fugazi. It's a whole. It's all.
Like I said, you can't say. Well, you say there's no fundamentals and everything, but I know people that literally spend hours. You talk about hours, just like y'all spend hours on studying the market. I know people that literally spend hours on studying that particular market, and they are using that hours of research, their hours of conversation to make the profit, because they're trying to make. Just like anybody in the investment space, they're trying to
there's
make
a lot of people who study
safe investment. So I do know that there are people that are like anything, they will just kind of like go into it willy-nilly. That's anybody.
Well, there's some people that study
go willy-nilly, but there are people that are literally investigating what they are doing and are making those options. The only thing that I would request of Sasha and everything, just me requesting it of Sasha and all along those lines, because we are ending this particular show and everything, is I have no problem bringing people that are in that space to you and everything. As I told you before and everything, I think that if you're going to have conversations, I have had conversations with people that I totally disagree with. I have interviewed conspiracy theorists, and I definitely don't agree with all of their stuff about conspiracies and things along those lines and everything. So all I request, and I think that I know with Jim being there that he will give some balance, and I definitely respect Milan and even you and you, Sasha, and you, Nick, is that at least be respectful of these folks. You can bring your argument, you can bring your counter arguments and everything, but don't think that you need to jump on their throats and everything. I was just arguing.
Mark, I'll make your task much easier. Tell your friend or friends that you have a bunch of old farts who have no idea about crypto, and they would like to have a lesson from knowledgeable guy who's making tons of money, retiring in 3 years on his crypto. And just to give us a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of insight, what it's all about. I will be very, very happy. Okay?
I can do that, and I'll just ask you to be respectful. So,
your baby.
Thank you. Actually, I will be quiet. I'll let others to talk.
Yeah, that's
okay. Listen, thank you so much for a great show today. Thank you so much, everybody who contributed to the show, and to our listeners. And we'll see you with Mark's guest next week on Wednesday. Thank you very much. Bye-bye, everybody.